Your dog can't sleep without being close to you. Maybe they curl up right against your legs. Maybe they squeeze into whatever corner of the bed is closest to your body. Maybe they don't even make it to the bed. They just lie down on the floor right next to you, as close as they can get without actually touching. And you've probably accepted this as just their thing, a quirk, a habit, something you find endearing even on the nights when they're taking up 3/4 of the mattress and you're somehow balanced on the edge. But here's what most people never stop to ask. Why? Not in a vague, dogs like being close to their people kind of way. But really, why? What is actually happening inside your dog when they can't settle down unless they're within touching distance of you? Because the answer isn't what most people expect. It's not about warmth. It's not about separation anxiety in the way most people use that term. And it's definitely not just a habit. There's a psychological mechanism behind it. One that researchers have been studying for decades. One that connects your dog's behavior to something much more fundamental than comfort. And by the end of this video, you're going to see that need for closeness completely differently. Not as a quirk, not as clinginess, as something that tells you exactly who you are to your dog, and exactly what you mean to them. Let's start at the beginning. Number 1, your dog sees you the way a child sees their mother. This is the part that tends to stop people in their tracks. When most owners think about why their dog needs to be close at night, they think about it in terms of personality. He's just anxious. She's always been clingy. That's just how he is. Those explanations aren't completely wrong, but they're missing something much more fundamental. In 1998, a team of researchers at Eötvös Loránd University in Hungary, led by József Topol, took a test that developmental psychologists had been using for decades to measure the emotional bond between human infants and their mothers, called the Strange Situation Test, originally designed by psychologist Mary Ainsworth, and applied it to dogs and their owners. The test works like this. A subject is placed in an unfamiliar room with their attachment figure. Then that person leaves. A stranger enters. Then the person comes back. Researchers observe how distressed the subject becomes when their person leaves, whether a stranger can comfort them, and how they respond at reunion. When Topol's team ran this with dogs, the results were remarkable. The dogs behaved almost identically to human infants. They explored more freely when their owner was present. They became distressed when their owner left, in a way that a stranger simply couldn't fix. And when their owner returned, they sought that specific contact immediately. This established something science now accepts clearly. Dogs form what psychologists call an attachment bond with their owners, the same type of deep, emotionally regulating bond that human children form with their primary caregivers. And here's why that matters for what happens at night. An attachment bond isn't just about affection, it's about emotional regulation. When your attachment figure is close, your nervous system settles. When they're absent, it stays on quiet alert, always holding a small thread of readiness, always waiting for the person who makes everything feel safe. Your dog isn't clingy. They're attached. And there's a profound difference between those two things. Clingy is a habit. Attachment is biology. But here's where it gets even deeper. Because this isn't just emotional, it's neurological. And what happens inside your dog's brain when they sleep next to you versus away from you is something most owners have never heard. Number 2, sleeping apart literally changes how their brain rests. So now you know your dog isn't just seeking warmth or comfort when they press against you at night. They're following a deep biological pull toward their attachment figure. But here's where it gets truly fascinating, because scientists decided to find out what actually happens inside a dog's brain when that pull is satisfied versus when it isn't. In 2022, researchers at Eötvös Loránd University published a study in the journal Animals that did something genuinely remarkable. They attached non-invasive EEG sensors to dogs, measuring their brain activity in real time, and recorded what happened when those dogs slept in 2 different conditions. First, next to their owner. Second, in the same unfamiliar environment, but without their owner present. The results were clear and measurable. When dogs slept next to their owner, they fell asleep faster. Their sleep was more efficient, and, most significantly, they spent more time in deep restorative sleep. The kind of sleep where the brain actually recovers, where memories consolidate, where the body repairs itself, the kind of sleep that makes you wake up feeling genuinely rested. When their owner wasn't there, that deep sleep was harder to reach and harder to maintain. Think about what that means in practical terms. Every night that your dog manages to sleep close to you, their brain is getting the kind of rest it needs to function well. Every night they're pushed to the floor or the other room or another part of the house. Their brain is working harder to reach that same depth of rest. Not because they're being dramatic, because your absence is registering in their nervous system as something that needs to be monitored. Stanley Coren, professor of psychology at the University of British Columbia and one of the most respected voices in canine behavior research, summarized it simply. More strongly bonded dogs have more deep restorative sleep when they are with their owners than dogs who lack the same degree of attachment. It's not just that your dog wants to be near you. Their brain is literally better at resting when you're there. And hey, if this is landing differently than you expected, hit that subscribe button. It's the best way to help us reach more dog owners who actually want to understand what's happening inside their dog. Because what we haven't explained yet is the reason behind all of this. The psychological mechanism that makes you, specifically you, so essential to your dog's sense of safety. And once you understand it, everything clicks into place. Number 3, you are their safe base, and that changes everything. So your dog is attached to you the way a child is attached to their parent. Their brain literally rests better when you're close. But why? What is the actual mechanism behind all of this? Why you specifically? Why does your presence change everything? The answer comes from a concept called the secure base effect. It was first described by British psychologist John Bowlby in 1958. The same researcher whose attachment theory we've been drawing from throughout this video. Bowlby noticed something consistent across species. When a young creature has a reliable, trusted attachment figure nearby, they don't just feel safer, they function better, they explore more, they handle stress more effectively. They take on the world with a confidence they simply don't have when that anchor isn't present. The attachment figure isn't just a source of comfort. They're a base of operations, a place the nervous system can return to when the world feels uncertain. Researchers at the University of Vienna, studying what's known as the Clever Dog Lab, tested this directly in dogs. They placed dogs in a problem-solving task under 3 conditions, with their owner present, with a friendly stranger present, and completely alone. The dogs performed significantly better and were more persistent when their owner was in the room. Not just any human, their specific person, their secure base. What this means for nighttime is everything. When your dog can't sleep unless they're close to you, they're not being needy. They're doing something deeply rational from their perspective. Sleep is the most vulnerable state any animal can be in. Eyes closed, guard completely down, completely unable to respond to threats. And their nervous system, wired by thousands of years of evolution, knows that the safest place to be in that state is next to their secure base, next to you. Your presence at night isn't just comforting to your dog. It's what allows their entire alarm system to finally fully switch off. Without you close, some part of that system stays quietly active, monitoring, waiting, not quite able to let go completely. And here's what makes this so powerful when you sit with it. Your dog didn't choose this because you feed them or because you're their owner in some transactional sense. They chose it because over weeks and months and years of shared life, you became the person their nervous system learned to trust completely. The one whose presence means everything is okay. You can rest now. You became their safe base. And that's not something that just happens. That's something you built. One consistent, gentle, trustworthy interaction at a time. But there's one more layer to this story. Because as meaningful as everything we've covered is, there's a version of it that goes in the other direction. And it's the one most owners miss completely until it's already happening. Number 4, What changes when that need for closeness fades? Here's the thing about everything we've covered today. The need your dog has to sleep close to you, the attachment, the brain activity, the secure base, all of it is active and ongoing. It doesn't plateau. It doesn't switch off once they've been with you long enough. Every night your dog seeks you out, they're renewing something, confirming something, coming back to the anchor that their nervous system has been calibrated to trust, which is exactly why it matters when that changes. If your dog has always needed to be close to you at night and then gradually stops or starts settling farther away or seems restless in ways they never were before, pay attention, not with alarm. With the same quiet attentiveness your dog has given you every night for years, the first thing to consider is physical. The Kennel Club in the UK notes that changes in a dog's resting behavior and sleep patterns are often among the earliest indicators of physical discomfort, appearing before anything more obvious does. A dog developing joint pain may find certain sleeping positions harder to hold. A dog in the early stages of an internal issue may shift their sleep habits in ways that are subtle but consistent. If the change in closeness is new, gradual, and accompanied by any stiffness or changes in how they move. A conversation with your vet is always worth having. Your dog can't tell you something feels different, but their behavior can. The second thing to consider is emotional, and this one is subtler, but just as real. Researchers at Eötvös Loránd University found that the quality of a dog's sleep near their owner is directly tied to the strength of that attachment bond, which means if something has shifted in your relationship, in the consistency of your presence, in the stress levels of the household, in the rhythm of daily life, your dog's nervous system registers it. Not dramatically, but honestly. A dog who starts sleeping farther away isn't falling out of love with you. They're adjusting to something that has changed. And the way back is the same way the bond was built in the first place, through presence, through consistency, through being the steady, predictable person their nervous system learned to trust. Go to them. Sit with them. Let them come back to you on their own terms. Because here's what this entire video has really been about. Your dog's need to sleep close to you isn't clinginess. It isn't a bad habit you forgot to train away. It isn't separation anxiety in the way most people use that term. It's attachment. Real, biological, neurologically measurable attachment. The same kind that exists between a parent and a child. The same kind that researchers at Eötvös Loránd University can measure in brainwaves. The same kind that John Bowlby spent his entire career trying to help people understand matters. And your dog has it. For you. Completely. Think about what that actually required. Your dog didn't. Arrive trusting you. They arrived in your world, unfamiliar smells, unfamiliar sounds, unfamiliar rhythms. And over weeks and months and years of shared life, through 1,000 small moments of consistency and gentleness and presence, their nervous system made a decision. It decided you were safe. It decided you were the anchor. It decided that wherever you are is where the guard can finally come down. That's not something that just happens. That's something you built, without realizing you were building it, just by showing up day after day as someone your dog could count on. And every night, every single night, your dog confirms that decision. They seek you out in the dark. They find the spot closest to you. They settle in, their breathing slows, their muscles release, and their brain finally reaches the deep rest it can only reach in your presence. That is what's happening when you feel that warmth against your legs at 2 a.m. That's what's happening when you wake up and they're still there, still pressed against you, still exactly where they chose to be. They're not just sleeping next to you, they're telling you, in the only language they have, that you are the safest place they've ever known. That was never a small thing. It was never just a habit or a quirk or something to manage. It was always love. Quiet, consistent, every single night. Love. And now you know exactly what it means.